Hi, this is Dr. Laksh Rathore and welcome to the OD channel. Today we will talk about the tarsal tunnel. It is located on the posterior and inferior aspect of the medial malleolus. Now it is formed by the roof of the tunnel is formed by the flexor retinaculum, and the base is formed by the medial surfaces of the talus and the calcaneum. Now a little part inferiorly is also formed by the abductor hallucis muscles. Abductor hallucis. Moving on to the contents of the tunnel. There are three things that you have to remember about the contents. Firstly, the mnemonic. Secondly, that it contains only the posterior compartment components. And thirdly, that the mnemonic stands for the components from anterior to posterior direction. You can easily see that on the image below. Now, what is the mnemonic? The mnemonic is Tom, Dick, and very nervous Harry. The Tom T stands for tendon. Which tendon? The tibialis posterior tendon. Remember T, right? Second is Dick. D is for the digitorum tendon. Now, which digitorum tendon are we talking about? The posterior compartment will contain the flexor digitorum longus tendon. A is for artery. Now, which artery? The posterior tibial artery. V is for vein, the posterior tibial vein. N is for nerve. The posterior compartment nerve is the tibial nerve. And lastly, H is for hallucis tendon. Which hallucis tendon? The flexors. The flexor hallucis longus. Easy to remember. Just remember the direction, anterior posterior, meaning thereby the tibialis posterior tendon is present anteriorly and then we go posteriorly. Now, and the mnemonic, and that it only contains the posterior component. Don't confuse with the anterior compartment tendons. Clinical importance of this tarsal tunnel is we can have a tarsal tunnel syndrome. It is not a very common condition, but sometimes it may be present along with heel pain. So how do we diagnose the tarsal tunnel syndrome? Firstly, based on some symptoms. The chief symptom in this disease is firstly there will be a pain in the plantar distribution of the foot. In the plantar distribution of the foot. Secondly, this pain will be exaggerated on prolonged standing or walking. Now, mostly the character of this pain is usually a vague pain associated with some burning sensation in the distribution of the plantar surface of the foot. Some signs that we can see here is there may be a little tenderness of the tibial nerve, or there may be the tinel sign of the tibial nerve. Thirdly, there may be some muscle wasting of the intrinsic muscles, muscle wasting, chiefly the abductor hallucis and the abductor digiti minimi. Thirdly, the pain may be exaggerated by dorsiflexion and eversion of the foot. You can remember this by that this movement will cause the passive stretch of the tibial nerve, causing pain or the reappearance of the symptoms. Now there is another compression test described. Compression test is basically that you have to put pressure over the tibial tunnel and it will compress the tibial nerve, leading to recurrence of symptoms. Thirdly, we can also do some tests, like firstly we can have an X-ray done. It may show us any bony spurs or any bone conditions. Usually pes planus is associated with this problem. Secondly, we can get an MRI done or a USG done. USG will show us some ganglion or any cyst, and MRI will help them delineate and confirm these conditions. Then sometimes we can also get some EMG done if it is available at your center. Third is, let's come over to the treatment part. The treatment may be divided into non-operative and operative. In the non-operative section, we have to remember, first of all, we have to do some lifestyle modifications so that patient does not have to stand for long. And if he has pes planus, then we have to give orthotics according to that. Second is medications like NSAIDs and pain for neuropathic pain like gabapentin and pregabalin. Sometimes steroids also help. And in some cases, SSRIs are also used. Secondly, the operative treatment. Operative treatment is basically release of the tunnel. In this surgery, you only have to remember that the release is pretty straightforward and it is started proximally. First, we have to identify the tibial nerve and then move distally while releasing the flexor retinaculum. Now, let's come over to the questions. The first question is, during the surgery for the tarsal tunnel syndrome, what structures have to be released? The hint here is you have to release three structures. Firstly, the flexor retinaculum itself, easy to remember. It is right in front of the roof of forming the roof of the tunnel. Secondly, you have to release the deep investing fascia of the leg. And thirdly, the fascia overlying the abductor hallucis muscle. Usually there are both superficial and deep facial overlying this muscle, and you have to release them both. Second question is what is the heel pain triad? It is basically the differential diagnosis of three things which cause heel pain. The first is, and the most common, is plantar fasciitis. Plantar fasciitis usually causes a sharp pain over the anterior part of the heel. Second is the posterior tibial tendon is insufficiency, or what we also known as adult acquired pes planus. And third is what we already learned, the tibial tunnel syndrome. It constitutes the heel pain triad. Now some fun facts. At this point of time, I think they're only facts. No more fun. Number one is, in the tibial tunnel, the tibial nerve divides into its terminal branches. What are these terminal branches? There are three terminal branches. The first two are the medial and lateral plantar nerves, and the third is the medial calcaneal nerve. It divides into these three branches. Secondly, there's another term called the anterior tarsal tunnel syndrome. What we studied was the posterior tarsal tunnel. Now there's another thing known as the anterior tarsal tunnel. It is formed. It is the flat space present in the anterior part of the foot, formed by the roof of which is formed by the inferior extensor retinaculum. The inferior extensor retinaculum forms the roof of this, and the floor will be formed by the anterior fascia overlying the talus and calcaneum. Almost the same boundaries, just the roof is different, which is formed by the inferior extensor retinaculum. Now it contains the anterior structures which are the mainly the nerve, which is the deep peroneal nerve, and the same hallucis and digitorum tendons, which are the flexor hallucis, extensor hallucis longus and extensor digitorum longus, and the one artery known as the dorsalis pedis artery. Well guys, thanks. That was all for today, and please leave some comments to let me know what you think. Thank you.